Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. In this video, we're going to be looking at another vertical team composition in set number 12. We're going to be looking at Vertical Frost in an attempt to chase after the elusive Frost 9, the highest tier that you can play in this team composition. Now, this is taken from a normal game. You might have noticed I'm not doing as many double up games recently. That's just because people don't really seem that interested in this set, honestly. We're getting closer to the end of the set, and this really has not been an especially good set. It's a bit disappointing because I didn't think set 11 was particularly good either, but not that much interest in playing the game. In fact, this is the first game I think I'd done in the last 5 days after playing the previous one. So yeah, not doing a ton of games overall. In terms of the initial portal, I went over to the spatula portal. It was actually my favorite out of the various different options. One of them was Tactician's Crown. That one I guess is okay, but I don't actually love that one. Just giving everyone +1 team size. I don't know, it's a little bit weird. And then the other one was just the loot subscription where everyone just gets tons and tons of loot. I didn't particularly love that option either. So for this portal, I ended up going over to the spatula. It was not my pick, but I did end up taking this one. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, you know, maybe we'll try to play something vertical. Something that builds out of a spatula, which, you know, can be fun. It can also be a little bit silly because there are a number of different traits that get really strong if you get +2 to the traits. And it is possible to, you know, make one version of the trait with the starting spatula, and then get an augment to give you another +1 to the trait. And then if you can put that together, you can sometimes just kind of win the lobby off of your spatula and the augment. Well, spoiler alert, that's what we're going to be trying to do here as well. As I said, I think it's a little bit silly, but that's kind of the direction I'm going in here as well. But like I said, when you've got the spatula portal, you kind of have to do something in that direction. Now, out of here, the most noteworthy thing that's happened thus far is I did get an early Swain. I did get a Swain from the first minion round. So as soon as I saw that, I said, you know, maybe we should try to go Vertical Frost in this particular setup. I could try to play around that. Now, the other option that I could do here is I could also try to play Vertical Portal because I do have 2 out of 3 Jaces, and I also have a... what's her name? I also have a Zoe here, and I actually have a 2-star Zoe, so I could also look to make a portal emblem and play Vertical Portal as well. But then I also get this. I get a vest to pop out from that last minion orb, and I had to say, I thought that I probably should go for the Frost version because that is the recipe for Frost emblem. It's spatula plus the vest. So I was like, okay, I already have the components for this, and I don't think anyone else is going to contest this in the lobby. Vertical Frost is not seen as being particularly strong in this particular patch. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go ahead, sell the Zoe. I'm going to level and put in the Namzi. I'm going to make the Frost emblem. The logical person to put it on is the Jace right now because I have 2 out of 3 Frost, so I might as well make the emblem. Now, of course, this does commit me to playing into a Frost team composition, but it's a normal game. There's not a ton at stake here. I thought it would be fun to try this. I haven't really played too much in the way of Vertical Frost. I played Frost a bit at the start of the set when it was on the PBE. It was actually stupidly overtuned the first week of the public beta environment. But it has been relatively weak for most of the set here. So I was like, let's just go ahead and try this. This will be fun. We'll try to build our best version of a Frost team composition and just work from there and see if I can put the team composition together. So I'll have the 1 2-star, which is the Jace. Ironically, the 1 unit on my board that's not a Frost unit. So for the time being, Jace can hold the Frost emblem, and he'll be a decent enough holder of this particular item. And then I also have a leftover tier and a leftover glove on my bench. The glove is good. That is an item that I definitely want to build in this team competition. There's a lot of stuff I want that builds out of that. I would like to do Infinity Edge Last Whisper on Varus, who is definitely going to get that Frost emblem. If you have played this board before, and you get 1 Frost emblem, you pretty much always want to put it on Varus because he makes really good use of the Frost stats, and he also slots in very nicely with the other Frost units. And Varus' items tend to be things like Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, Spear of Shodan's okay. He just doesn't really want attack speed all that much. The tier, though, not... so the tier could be like half of a Spear of Shodan. Otherwise, the tier not really that useful. Tiers are not terribly helpful with this particular team composition, unless you're planning on playing through Hui, which I guess you can do, but that would require me to reroll on level 7 for a 3-star Hui, and Hui's just not really that good. Really hasn't been that good the whole set. He's especially not that good in this particular patch. So anyway, that's the hope, and we'll see what happens. It's going to depend at least in part on what we hit. But so far, looks like my board is holding up there reasonably well here in the early game. And I will take whatever wins I can get here in the hopes that I can go on a little bit of a win streak. Now, because we're focusing on the Frost trait, what exactly does this trait do? Again, we're getting close to the end of the set, but it's still probably useful to run through this for people who might not have seen this before. Here's the official description. Frost. Frost champions gain ability power and attack damage. So keep that in mind. It gives AD and AP to the people who have the trait. So it is an offensively oriented trait. You do not get any defensive stats from this. You get AD and AP. The higher you play into Frost, the more AD and AP you get. I have Frost 3, it's 16 AD and 16 AP in this particular patch version. In addition to this, the other unique thing about this trait, here's the secondary part. The first few enemies to die become allied ice soldiers, which lure enemy attacks if they are within range and retargeting. When you have Frost 3 like this, only the first enemy unit that dies turns into an ice soldier. And then as you get deeper into the trait, you get more ice soldiers. This fight is showing some of the limitations of that, though. You have to kill an enemy unit to get the ice soldier. And I've gotten the Lilia so low, but I haven't actually killed it. So I finally do kill the enemy Lilia, but by the time she goes down, my entire team is basically dead. And this is unfortunate because I really think I could have won this fight if I'd been able to kill that Lilia earlier. She went down to like 10% health multiple times. And then Lilia's ability, when she uses her ability, she has a heal. And then the Soraka on the other team also got off her mage double cast, and Soraka then healed her again. So I got so close to killing that unit. And if I had killed the Lilia earlier on in the fight, I would have gotten the Ice Soldier to tank for me, and I think I would have won that fight. So instead it turns into a narrow loss, and that's unfortunate because it is going to interrupt any chance for me to go win streaking. It's also unfortunate I lost because I still have last pick on the carousel, even with that loss. I'm in a tie with somebody else, but I lose the tiebreaker. So I still have last pick. There really isn't anything much that I want. So I was like, you know, I don't have many uses for this tier. So I'm going to go ahead and take the cloak. And I'm going to go ahead and make redemption because I think that that's the best that I can do. I also picked up the Shyvana that last round. The Shyvana dropped me down to 9 gold, and then I actually ended up selling a Warwick so I could get back up to 10 gold. But Shyvana is definitely a unit I want to play. And early on, if you're playing Frost, a board often will look something like this. Now, it might not necessarily have the Jace. The Jace is a little bit wonky, but Twitch pairs really well with Namzi because they both have Hunter trait, so they are kind of a natural pair. And then if you hit the early Swain, it's really good to get Shyvana because that gives Shapeshifter for Swain. And then, of course, Namzi plus Shyvana put Dragon trait in play and gives both of them a little bit of extra damage as well. So you will frequently see Shyvana and Namzi played with an early game Frost board. And then the other unit that I'm not playing, but which is on my bench, is Warwick. And so Warwick has Vanguard in addition to Frost trait. So you often will play with like early Vanguard units like Blitzcrank, and Rumble often gets played a lot too because Rumble has Blaster trait, and then that can pair with Hui if you get an early Hui. So a number of different options here. It's actually a little unfortunate that that 3 cost in my shop is an Ezreal and not a Hui. That would be more useful if it were a Hui instead. So anyway, I'm hoping that I can win this round. That would get me to 20 gold. That would be really nice. As far as what units are in the Frost team competition, so there are 7 total units on a Frost board. We're actually going to be seeing all of them at various different times in this game. So as far as cost tiers go, there are 2 1 costs, a 2 cost, 2 3 costs, a 4 cost, and a 5 cost. So you have 1 1, 2, 3 3, 4, and 5. And that's where you get the 7 different Frost units. So you have Twitch and Warwick at the 1 cost tier. Zillion at the 2 cost tier. I have not seen him yet. The Swain, who's tanking for me right now, along with Hui at the 3 cost tier. And then Olaf at the 4 cost tier. And then finally Diana to cap it out at the 5 cost tier. It's interesting trait in the sense that this trait is offensively oriented. Remember, it gives AD and AP, and then it also has that Ice Soldier part. By the way, this is a great shot for me. Warwick 2, and then a second Shyvana, and then a second Swain. That's a pretty good shot for me, and I'm going to try to get that Warwick on the board. Anyway, it's a pretty interesting trait in the sense that even though it's an offensively oriented trait, and that's why you want to put the Frost emblem on units that are going to use the AD and AP like Jace, it actually has all 3 defensive traits all 3 defensive traits in this set have a Frost unit. You have Warwick, who has Vanguard Frost. You have Swain, who's Shapeshifter Frost. And then you have Diana, who's Bastion Frost, although she's more of an offensive unit than a tank. So it's a little bit weird in that regard. By the way, I also get a Nico here, which would allow me to go up to 4 Shapeshifters. So I was thinking about maybe holding on to that. But then I saw that I could get to 30 gold if I sold the Nico. And I was like, I value the 30 gold more, especially because a Hui just dropped as well. And as soon as the Hui drops, I'm like, I'm going to go up to 5 Frost here. I'm not going to go to 4 Shapeshifter. I'm going to go to 5 Frost. So anyway, that's what I was thinking there. There's also now a zillion in my store, so now I'm like starting to get overloaded on the frost unit. So I'm going to move out of the Jace. Jace was really good for stage 2, but I'm going to move out of him now. And I'll move the frost emblem over to the Namzi, because again, I want that extra damage on the Namzi. And I'm going to level, I'll put in the Hui, and then I'll also put Zillion on my bench. And then I also am going to take the 2 free shot rerolls, but I'm not going to use them right now. It wouldn't be the worst time to use them because I do have a lot of pairs right now. I have a Twitch pair, a Namzi pair, a Shyvana pair, and a Swain pair on my bench. But the reason why I don't want to use them right now is I don't want to roll. And like, even if I find these champions on my roll, if I use the 2 free shot rerolls and roll for them, it's going to drop me below 20 gold, and I really don't want to drop below 20 gold. The only reason I leveled to 6 years, I wanted to put in 5 frost because I thought that would be a pretty big spike. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and do that, and I end up winning that round rather easily. So now I really wish I hadn't lost that one round. I could be on a 6-match winning streak here. Now we get the next augment, and boom, Frost Emblem. As soon as I see that, that's an insta-click there. And look at this shop, Swain 2-star, Twitch 2-star. That's a nice shop as well. I actually get an extra Twitch there. So now I've got this Frost Emblem, and I can actually play Frost 7 if I get to level 7 by putting in the Zillion. But as soon as I see this, my entire gameplay changes. I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to play this, but now I know what I want to do. I have 2 Frost Emblems, like I said at the beginning of the video, one from the Spatula, one from Augment, that gets me to +2. There are only 7 Frost units in the game, so in order to play 9 Frost, you have to get 2 Frost Emblems, but I have 2 Frost Emblems, so now the goal of my game is I need to get to level 9, I need to find all 7 Frost units, and then I will play the 7 Frost units plus the 2 emblems, which can go on whatever units. One's going to go on Varus, and I was thinking about who is going to take the other one. And that'll allow me to get in 9 Frost. But that means I have to be a little bit more greedy when it comes to Econ, because I pretty much have to get to level 9 to make this work. Obviously, I can't play 9 units on level 8. Like, that's just not going to work. I need to be level 9 for that to happen. And I also have to be level 9 to have realistic odds of finding Diana. Diana's a 5 cost. I might be able to find her on level 8, or maybe I'll get lucky and get her off a carousel or something. But realistically, if you want to find Diana, you need to get to level 9. So that is the hope. We need to get to level 9, and like the real skill in this game is going to be how can I make it to level 9 without dying, and also without having to roll aggressively, because I have to be very sparing of rolling if I'm going to make it to level 9. I can't just like roll heavily on level 7 or 8, because if I do that, I'm not going to be able to make it to level 9. And the whole purpose of this game is to put the 9 Frost in, but I have to get to level 9 for that to happen. So that is our plan. We're going to try to play as greedy as possible while also preserving as much health as possible. And that's the reason why I'm not leveling to level 7 here, even though it would let me put in the 7 Frost. I'm not on a win streak. There's no particular need to do that. Instead, what I'm mostly hitting, and by the way, that was sad, Shyvana died before she got her ult off. What I'm hitting is a lot of Sugarcraft boards. Like, a lot of people are playing Sugarcraft in this lobby. A lot of people are playing Soraka and Seraphine. There are 2 people that are playing them on Sugarcraft boards, and then there's like a 3rd person who's playing them on a Mage's board. These units are pretty strong in this patch. Soraka has been a really weak unit the entire set, but they've like been very slowly buffing her throughout the set, and now she's actually quite strong. She's pretty clearly overtuned. They probably need to knock down her numbers a little bit. So people rerolling for Soraka and Seraphine are all over the place in this lobby. Just for whatever reason, people went crazy with with the Sugarcraft units. I guess Seraphine's technically a fairy unit, and there's actually another person playing fairy as well. So I believe we have 2 Sugarcraft players, a mage player, and a fairy player. So I'm happy not to contest any of that stuff. I'll just stay away from all that and play my Frost units, which are looking pretty uncontested in this lobby. So that's good news. Anyway, now I finally, by the way, get my initial augment from the start of the game. Remember, at the start of the game, I took a silver augment that said after 8 rounds, I would get a chance to pick a support item from a treasure chest. So I'm looking at the different options here. I was like, I don't really love any of these. I think I'm going to take the unstable treasure chest here. And okay, I'll use that charm. That ends up doing nothing. So I take the unstable treasure chest. When the holder dies, the 3 closest allies gain a temporary item. So you need to put this on a frontliner. Ideally, you want to put it on someone who's going to die relatively quickly in these fights. So I end up putting it on Shyvana. It turns out, though, that Shyvana wasn't the right unit to put this on, and that's because Shyvana just ends up surviving too long in these fights. Like right here in this fight, she ults over to the right side of the board, And if Shyvana doesn't die, then that item doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess it gives her like 100 health or something, but that's really not what I want. So I figured out pretty quickly I had to remove this item off the Shyvana, and I think I end up putting it on the Warwick a little bit later on. Now, the other thing I'm doing in terms of items is I'm trying to build items towards a future Varus and a future Olaf. Like, those are the main carries that I'm going to have on this board. Varus is softening people up, finishing people off from the back line, and then Olaf jumping around, hitting people with his axe. Frost is a trait that has an internal synergy. It has a Hunter synergy. It has Twitch, who is Hunter plus Frost, and it has Olaf, who is also Hunter plus Frost. So right now, Twitch is holding a Last Whisper. That is intended to go on Varus later on, but I also will need to build some Olaf items later on too. So I'm trying to figure out how I can build these items, but like, here's the problem. I ended up getting double rods here, and that's... yeah, you really can't use rods in a vertical Frost team composition. The only unit that can kind of use these is Hui, and he's not really a great user of them. He's just not a great unit overall, so I'm really unhappy with having double rods here. And by the way, you saw how well that fight didn't go as I was up against a Sugarcraft player. That fight was a prime example of the problem with the unstable treasure chest, because Shyvana didn't die until like my entire team was finished. And so whoop-de-doo, we got 2 items, but we didn't get them until the last second. So I'm going to put it on Warwick, and he's a much better person to hold this. Warwick is a really weak unit unless you're specifically re-rolling for Warwick 3-star. He had this bizarre interaction with the Vampiric Scepter, which, by the way, is getting taken out of the game in the patch that's about to release right around the time this video gets posted. So, yeah, he's just kind of a weak unit unless you're specifically building your whole team comp around him, which I am definitely not. Anyway, look at this. We've got another crazy loot drop here. Would have liked a Reforger, if possible, to do something with those rods. I don't get that. But we've got 2 treasure anvils to pull here. And look at this. For 20 seconds, your shop refreshes. So I'm going to make sure I'm level 7. And I'm going to use this as like my level 7 roll down. There's his Nasus. Let's see what else we can find. There's another Zillion. All right, that's Hui 2-star. That'll help. There's another Hui. But again, I don't have the econ to go for 3-star Swain or 3-star Hui. I have to try to get to level 9 here. But this charm kind of allowed me to 2-star my whole board. So I was like, okay, I don't think I need to roll down now. And I was considering putting in the Nasus, but there's really no need to put Nasus on my board yet. I don't have Pyro trait in. 2-star Shyvana is going to be much better than a 1-star Nasus, especially when she puts Dragon trait in play. And now it's time to pull these anvils that came out of the Prismatic Orb. I'm going to get a Hullbreaker from 1. Now I can finally kill one of these rods on a Crown Guard, which is a very good item on Swain. It's one of his best tank items. And now I can pull the other one, which is a support anvil, and I'm like, well, you know, I've already got an unstable treasure chest. Let's go ahead and do the Zephyr. I always love cheesing people with Zephyrs. That sounds pretty good. So we're going to do our best to see if we can win this. There is Seraphine, who's doing her best to pretend to be Callista over there, but it looks like we actually are going to win this round. So that's pretty good. I was in the middle of transitioning there, but I was still able to win that round, and reasonably happy with that one. All right, time for our last augment. It is Prismatic, and as soon as I see the new recruit, I'm like, all right, new recruit, let's go. +1 team size. That's going to be really good here because it means if I do find a Diana, I don't have to be level 9. I can actually play her on level 8. So I can actually now technically get the 9 Frost in on level 8 instead of having to be level 9. But my odds to find Diana are still going to be much better if I can get to level 9. So I am still going to try to get to level 9 if possible. But if it looks like that's not going to be possible, my fallback option is now roll for Diana on level 8 and try to play her on level 8. It's just the odds to find her are not great on level 8, and I would prefer, I think it's safer to roll for her on 9 if I manage to preserve enough health to get there. All right, I'm also rejiggering my board here because, there we go, I don't want anyone standing next to the Swain because he has a Hullbreaker. And the Hullbreaker gives him, I think, 600 extra health if no one is standing next to him. It's a great item to put on a Shapeshifter because that 600 bonus health then gets increased by the Shapeshifter trait. I'm actually playing 3 Shapeshifters right now, but that's because I don't want to take the Shyvana off my board as long as I'm relying on Namzi, which I kind of am. Namzi actually does... look, Namzi and Twitch did the most damage that round, so I don't want to take the Shyvana off my board and lose Dragon trait as long as I'm playing through the Namzi. So Shyvana will come off this board eventually. Namzi will come off this board eventually. But for right now, I definitely need them as transition units. The good news is, though, I did manage to get up to the 7 Frost there. So I've been able to play the 7 Frost. I actually only have 5 Frost, 5 units that are innately Frost units on my board. The only reason I'm able to play 7 Frost is because I have the double emblems. I have not found Olaf or Diana, but I'm still playing 7 Frost due to my double emblems. This, the 7 Frost gives you 50 AP and 50 AD. And then the first 3 enemy units you kill turn into ice soldiers. By the way, they also start exploding on death, the ice soldiers. So now that we have the 7 Frost in, it is a very big jump over the 5 Frost. 5 Frost is actually kind of terrible, but 7 Frost is pretty strong. Now I'm up against the person who's playing Vertical Mages. They have 3-star Soraka, 3-star Seraphine, and they also have a Mage Emblem. They were able to reforge their spatula into a frying pan and then make a Mage Emblem. So this board looks like it's going to be pretty strong. I did manage to Zephyr the Soraka at the start of the fight, but look at my backline. My backline is just kind of dying. So I managed to cut through the front line, but yeah, not fast enough to kill the backline. Look at that board. The Seraphine did 9,700 damage. The Soraka did 6,100 damage. I was like, ooh. You know, that team did just recently hit the 3-star 1 cost, so the team is definitely spiked right now. They're probably not going to get too much stronger. By the way, I also would have taken that Morgana if it had been there, but that got taken. So I really do need to make some sword items, so I definitely need this sword. Quite happy to be able to get that sword with second pick. Thanks, by the way, to the one person who quit the lobby early. So even though I'm in 4th place on health, I can still get the second pick. So we'll go ahead and take this sword. And I don't know quite what this is going to be yet, but it'll be something. It could be, if I can't find any, like if I can't find another glove, it could always be combined with the belt to make a, what do you call it? A Sterix for Olaf, because that's a good Olaf item. And then I also get this Varus. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Varus. We're going to use 1 item remover to take the Last Whisper off of Twitch and put it on Varus. And then we're going to continue just doing our best to level. So I did take the Namzi off the board. You could make a case I should have just kept Namzi on the board for Dragon Trait. That probably would have been better than playing Nasus right now. So yeah, probably should have done that. But then I would have had to use both item removers. Of course, I'll get another item remover at the end of the stage. So I don't know. But there's a good case to be made that I probably should have continued to play Namzi at least a little bit longer. This is the person who's playing a Vertical Fairy board. They have a Fairy Emblem. I'm hoping that they will not get another Fairy Emblem and be able to go up to 9 Fairy, because that's another like insta-win the lobby condition. Vertical Fairy is very similar to Vertical Frost in that the tiers are 3, 5, 7, and 9, and if you can hit the 9, it's kind of like insta-win the lobby. Fortunately for me, they only have Callista 1-star, and by the way, Zillion got off a nice stun on that Callista, so she's got the double Rage Blade. But for some reason, she doesn't have the Fairy Crown yet. I'm not sure why the Fairy Crown's not on her. Still, we're going to win that round, and that person's level 80 gold, so that's a good sign. They're probably not going to get that much stronger. I've also been looking for this for ages. You see this charm almost every single game. Gain a Reforger and a item remover. So I am happy to use that Reforger. I'm definitely going to look to use that on the rod. But I think I'm going to hold and see what other items I get on the minion rounds before I burn that, and we'll go from there. I also do have that Zephyr, so I'm continuing to try to scout where I can place it. And I see this person has a Talisman of Ascension and 2 Radiant items on their Gwen. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to move to Zephyr that Gwen. But it turns out I don't hit that board. I hit the portal, the Witchcraft Rise board. And I actually had my Zephyr pointed perfectly at that Rise. So I was like, ah, man. Probably should have just kept that in place. Ah, well. It's hard to know. I mean, it's only 1 in 3 odds as far as what you're going to hit. But needless to say, my odds of winning this round would have been a lot higher if the Rise, who's 2-star 6 Witchcraft, had been Zephyred out at the start of the fight. I don't know if I win that fight, but I probably kill a few more units. So, again, we're just trying to watch that HP bar. I'm on 48 HP. Can I make it to level 9? Again, I've been very, very patient here. I did not roll at all on level 7. I just took advantage of the fact that I got that animate shop that gave me like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 shops in a row. So I'm still trying to see if I can make it to level 9 here. I need, what is it, 70 more gold? I have saved my 2 free rerolls the entire game. I bought that charm that gave me 2 rerolls, and I have saved them all through stage 3, all through stage 4. I want to use them on level 9 if possible, because again, I have to find Diana. I cannot play 9 Frost unless I get Diana. I don't think it's likely I'm going to get a 3rd Frost Emblem, and there we go. There's an Olaf. That actually is a big deal. It's actually quite nice getting that, and I got a fair amount of extra gold that round too. There's another Nasus, we'll pick that up, and then I was thinking of going to 9, but then I was like, wait, no, I don't have enough econ to do that. Let's stop here. I actually went slightly too far. Anyway, I'm going to take another sword. I'm also going to reforge the rod. I technically should have done that first before I pulled from the anvil. But that's going to be enough to let me make the Infinity Edge Last Whisper combo, which I'm quite pleased with. And now I'm going to go ahead and make that Sterix. I mentioned before I might make Sterix on Olaf, and now I've got the leftover bow, so we can put that on the bench. Having Olaf on the board is going to help a good bit. Now, what I could do is I actually could take one of these Frost units off the board and maybe play like the Karma for Chrono Trait. Let's see, who could I take off the board? I guess I could take... Well, I couldn't take Zillion off. I wouldn't be able to make Chrono Trait with that. Maybe the Hui, but no, I need Hui for Blaster Trait. I don't know. Maybe I would take the... I was going to say take the Nasus off the board, but Nasus gives me Pyro, and I want to stack that up. Maybe I can't actually take something off the board. And I definitely do want to play this Olaf. Even as a 1-star unit with only 1.5 items, he does the most damage in that fight. So having the Olaf definitely helps. I mean, he's getting 50 AD and AP from the Frost Trait, so that's not bad. Now, again, we just need to get to level 9 and find Diana. There's another Varus. Okay, so that's not bad. We got a few Pyro stacks here. Pyro as a trait is, of course, going to give attack speed to the whole team. And the more Cinders I get, the more attack speed we get. Although it's never going to be too much, because I'm not playing vertical Pyro here. It's not going to be too much attack speed. But, you know, even if I get like 10%, 15% for the whole team, that's not bad. That definitely helps to have a bunch of these units. The other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to position my Zephyr to hit key targets in these fights. I love having that Zephyr. Always love getting those Zephyrs back again. Unfortunately, I guessed the wrong side against this player, and I think I hit this person a couple rounds ago, but now they have the Callista 2-star. I have no idea why they don't have the Fairy Crown on the Callista. That would seem like the unit you want to put the Fairy Crown on, but apparently they're going with the Gunblade instead. I don't know if that's the right decision. But, I mean, Callista 2-star is definitely going to beat my board. I have Varus 1-star, I have Olaf 1-star. I've just got like a bunch of 2-star Frost units, and I do not have Frost 9 in yet. So I am going to lose that round. That's not a surprise. And I go down to 33 health. So starting to get a little bit low here. So I decided, you know what? I have enough to get to 9. Let's go ahead and we're going to roll. We'll put the Karma on the board, and Diana is there instantly. Oh my god. Okay. So what do we take out? Well, we take out the Shyvana, who was great the whole game. But there we go. There is 9 Frost. And now I'll just roll down here, and boom, like that. We now have 2-star Varus. I also have the Duplicator as well. So that's looking pretty fine. What does 9 Frost do? Well, as my past self is highlighting very temporarily there, 9 Frost is 90 AD and AP. Yeah, 90 AD and AP. By the way, I got that Zephyr on the Soraka. Very nice. 90 AD and AP, and it also causes 4 enemy units to turn into Frost Soldiers. They explode on death and deal double damage. And that's a real problem for the enemy team because the exploding soldiers actually do a ton of damage. If you look at that damage bar, they did the second most damage in that fight, the exploding soldiers. So that is a real problem for the enemy team. They both tank for me. They're also an aggro pull. So if an enemy unit kills one of my units and then looks to retarget, they will try to target a Frost Soldier if that's possible. They like have a permanent taunt on them. And then when they die, they explode, and they explode for double damage. So they actually explode for an awful lot. Now, on this carousel, I thought maybe about the Thief's Glove, but then I was like, no, there's a Diana on this carousel. What are you doing? Take the Diana and duplicate it. Don't be stupid. It's on the item she has is a Static Shiv, which is not a terribly useful item for me. But I have that's going to be Diana 2-star on a 9 Frost board. Like, are you kidding? Come on, that unit's going to be stupidly strong. So I do wise up and go ahead and take that. I'm also going to reroll my shot with 4-cost champs. Well, I didn't see any Olafs there, but I do see one in this store. So I'm going to go ahead, use the duplicator. There we go. And I think I'll go ahead and lock for this Olaf for right now. So, by the way, I put the Static Shiv on the Karma, and I don't think that that's the right unit. There's no reason this should be on a 1-star Karma who does not have Frost Trait over the Diana, who is a 2-star 5-cost and does have Frost Trait. I won't pretend that Static Shiv is a good Diana item because it's not. But, like, I have to put this item on the Diana. It's so clearly a better unit. I definitely want to put that item on there, if at all possible. Anyway, so the Diana, she is the 5-cost, and I really have seen very little of her in this set because you so rarely manage to get to the point where you're playing this unit. But she is an awfully strong unit if you can 2-star her and play her in a team composition like this, where she's going to be able to, hit all of her traits. So that's the goal there. And, I mean, we won that last fight pretty easily. So let's hope that I can keep this going here. All right, so I will go ahead and continue picking up these cinders. I picked up the Olaf, and all right, 1 gold for my team to gain 30 armor for 1 round. We'll definitely look to do that. I'm still hoping I can hit some more of my 2-stars. I hit the 2-star Diana before I hit Olaf 2-star or Nasus 2-star, and then I have the Karma pair on my bench as well. So my board can actually get a fair bit stronger. And earlier on in the game, I wasn't really getting much benefit from my Prismatic. I kind of like limped through a good portion of the game without getting much from the Prismatic Augment. But now the +1 team size and the fact that it was allowed me to duplicate the Diana for Diana 2-star, like that was a massive power spike for my board. In addition to the fact that I have the 9 Frost in. Also got a great Zephyr this round. I got it on the 2-star Gwen, who had a Radiant, Radiant Adaptive Helm. So that's definitely the unit I wanted to take out of the fight. And yeah, the soldiers are kind of blowing up in the backline and killing that entire backline. Once again, they did the 2nd most damage in that fight. And that's going to go ahead and knock that team down to basically 1 life remaining over there. It looks like the strongest player right now is that 7 mages board. They're actually able to 3-star Vhagar and Vex after 3-starring the Seraphine and the Soraka. They actually have Pandora's Bench, which is allowing them to hit some of these. So I see a Camille. I'll play the Camille over the Karma, and then I also have Morgana, and I think Morgana's a little bit better than Camille here, but I will continue to hold them on the bench. And if I would like hit 2-star Camille, I'll play 2-star Camille. If I hit 2-star Morgana, I'll play 2-star Morgana, and we're just going to play around whatever we hit, and just continue playing 5-cost units. By the way, I can also remove the Frost Emblem from Nasus. If I would happen to hit like a 2-star Morg, I would move the Frost Emblem over to Morgana, because that would definitely be better. But again, we're just going to see what we can hit and continue playing through our trait. There's Olaf, and we'll go ahead and take the leadership there. Now, none of these items are like amazing, but I think the Hand of Justice is pretty decent. And I was like, you know what? Let's see. Can we hit any of these other units? There's another Olaf, but I don't need that now. Now there's Briar and Smolder. All right, and then I hit the 2-star Nasus, so I was like, okay, I think the Frost Emblem can stay on Nasus for right now. And I was like, Diana, does she do magic damage? Yes, she does. Let's give her the Hand of Justice and the Static Shiv. Again, Hand of Justice, a good item on her. Static Shiv, a pretty terrible item on her. This time I'm going to be up against the Mages player, and I actually do manage to Zephyr the Vhagar, which is pretty nice. I think that that's definitely the unit to focus because this person took their items off Seraphine and moved them over to the Vhagar. So I think that that's definitely the unit. And oh my god, we are just annihilating this mage board. Ooh, that was ugly. Varus did the most damage and Diana did the 2nd most that time, although she did not survive to the end of the fight. So, yeah, I mean, we'll take that, and I have not lost since I got the 9 Frost in. I can still get stronger, too. I mean, if I can hit the... I've 2-starred most on my board, but I can still hit 2-star Morg or 2-star Camille, and I think that would definitely make my board stronger. Plus, I can continue... I want to try to get some income in charms, too. I want to make sure I have a charm every round. By the way, that person who just died had 8 Fioras on their bench. So I'm pretty happy they got knocked out, since they were getting close to Fiora 3-star. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and take this charm that gives a random back row unit extra attack speed. I'm trying to make it so Varus is the one who gets that, but I can't remember if he actually gets that or not. Probably should have moved all those other units up to the 3rd row. I thought that it happened when you bought the charm, but I believe now it actually happens when the fight starts. Anyway, for this round, it looks like I'm going to be up against the Fairy player. I was like, all right, they're going to move their Callista at the last second. So I moved my Zephyr, and whoops, actually they didn't move at the last second. I was like, what? The last time I played this person, they shifted at the last second. But I was like, all right, they didn't move this round, but that's because it was a ghost round. They weren't actually fighting me. They could probably see they were up against the other player. Would be really, really nice if I could get the Zephyr on the Callista, because her whole thing is stacking up attack speed. And if she doesn't get to do that... she's just a crippled unit, so the Zephyr would be really good against her. Now I'm watching to see who actually wins this fight. Is the Callista going to win this, or is the Mage team going to win? It looks like the Callista is actually going to win, so all right. And the Mage player gets knocked out completely. I was like, oh, cool, okay. Now I am going to be up against that board, because there's only 2 of us still left in the lobby. I'm surprised I didn't get a few more cinders. And this one, your units execute units that fall below 200 health. So I'll definitely take that. I need to make sure I have a charm every round. This person's on 5 Callistas, so I should probably pick up any Callistas I see, but I don't really think they're going to get to Callista 3-star. Seems unlikely. Looks like they're also out of gold to roll. So the main thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I land this Zephyr on that Callista. So I was like, all right, they're going to swap at the last second. Boom. Let's go ahead and do this. So did I manage to get the Callista? And the answer is no, they stood in place. I was like, what? This person is either not paying attention or they're doing like the craziest head fake of all time. I think they were just not paying attention to me. But I was like, all right, I guess I overestimated the other board. The good news is it doesn't seem like it really matters that I missed my Zephyr because, again, the 9 Frost it's really, really strong. Diana and Olaf are getting on the back line and just killing all the fairy units. And once again, they were able to get on that Callista. So we win, and it's not especially close. So I do have to win one more time here. So I was like, all right, none of these emblems are really going to be that useful. I could take the Morgue, but with a portal emblem, let's get something better. I'm just going to go ahead and take the Infinity Edge for Olaf. It's not one of Olaf's best items, but it's not bad. I'd prefer to have him give him like a Titans or something. Something that makes him both tankier and deals more damage, but like this is fine. And then for this last round, I was like, all right, I'm going to take this. Animate bench. Every 6 seconds, an enemy unit jumps off your bench. So I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to be able to 2-star Morgana before the game ends. Let's take this animate bench, and we're going to have Camille and Briar and Tom Kench. I'm going to have them jump off my bench here. I probably should actually sell the Hecarim, just so with the other units are the first ones to join the bench. Also, can I manage to get the Zephyr in place? No! Once again, they dodged the Zephyr. This time they moved the Callista to the center of the board. I was like, oh, okay, you know, kudos to you. You actually were paying attention here. But watch my bench. I'm going to have units start jumping in. So, whoop! In comes a Briar. That sounds pretty good. A Briar. Does Briar get to take advantage of Shapeshifter trait? I don't know. And then in comes a Hecarim, and then I've got a Camille that's going to jump on the bench as well. I mean, yeah, it's that was not a bad fairy board. It was a pretty well-built team, but I had outscaled that. 9 Frost is really strong. It's one of those crazy chase traits. Again, you need double emblems to make it, and you need to get to level 9. Unless you have the +1 team size like I did here. So I was able to hit everything. I hit all 7 of the Frost units. I 2-starred all of them. Plus I added 2-star Nasus, and I added 2-star Varus, who are really good units to fit in, even though they themselves do not have Frost trait. Anyway, I'll go ahead and put a static image of this result screen because the game bugged out yet again. I don't know what's going on with the client. But overall, this was a really fun game to play. Obviously, I got some pretty good luck in the sense that I was able to get +1 to Frost after I already had the +1 to Frost from the beginning of the game with the spatula. But still, I think that I played my game well around it. I was able to preserve health while getting to level 9. And then once I got to level 9, Frost 9 just kind of took over and won the lobby for me. But the skill was getting there. That was the trouble in the game. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next week, have a great week, folks. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.